Good morning, beloved friends. Today we stand at the doorway of a brand new month, carrying the stories of yesterday and the hopes of tomorrow. We arrive with hearts that have known both sunshine and storms, victories and valleys, laughter and tears. Yet here we are, still standing, still believing, still reaching toward the promises that God has placed before us. The turning of a calendar page may seem like a small thing, but every new month is a sacred reminder that life continues to offer fresh beginnings. It whispers to weary souls, try again. It speaks to discouraged hearts, hope again. It reminds us that God's mercy is not exhausted, His grace is not depleted, and His miracles are not finished. As we enter this new month, we do not come empty-handed. We bring our dreams, our prayers, our families, our challenges, and our expectations. We come believing that what was delayed can still arrive, what was broken can still be restored, and what seemed impossible can still become possible through the power of faith. This is not just another Tuesday. This is another opportunity to trust God more deeply, to pray more boldly, and to expect His goodness more confidently. Let us not rush past this moment. Let us not overlook the power of prayer, for prayer has a way of opening doors that human strength cannot unlock. Prayer has a way of bringing peace where confusion once lived and hope where fear once ruled. Today, as we begin this new month together, let our hearts be filled with expectation. Let our spirits rise above doubt. Let us believe that new mercies await us, new opportunities are before us, and new miracles are already being prepared in ways we cannot yet see. Welcome to this moment of prayer, faith, and possibility. Welcome to a new month, filled with new miracles. There is something quietly powerful about a new beginning. It does not always arrive with trumpets sounding or crowds cheering. Sometimes it comes softly, like the first light of dawn stretching across a dark horizon. Sometimes it arrives in the gentle turning of a calendar page, in the simple realization that yesterday has passed and a new month has begun. And what a blessing it is to know that life continues to offer us fresh starts. Many of us enter this month carrying burdens from the one before. We carry unanswered prayers, postponed dreams, disappointments that linger in our memories, and wounds that have not yet fully healed. We remember the opportunities that slipped through our fingers. We remember the tears we shed when no one was watching. We remember the nights when sleep would not come because worry occupied every corner of our mind. Yet despite it all, we are here. That alone is a testimony. We have survived days we thought would break us. We have walked through storms we never expected to face. We have stood in valleys so deep that we wondered if we would ever see the sunlight again. But here we stand, breathing, believing, hoping. We stand at the threshold of a new month, carrying proof that we are stronger than we knew. A fresh beginning does not mean the past never happened. It does not erase every mistake, every regret, or every sorrow. Instead, it reminds us that the past does not have the final word. Too often, people allow yesterday to become a prison. They replay old failures until those failures begin to define them. They remember every wrong turn, every missed opportunity, every harsh word spoken in anger, and every dream that did not unfold as planned. They begin to believe that because something happened before, it must happen again. But life teaches a different lesson. The sun rises every morning without asking permission from yesterday's darkness. The flowers bloom each spring without consulting the winter that tried to bury them. Rivers continue to flow despite the rocks that stand in their path. Nature itself tells a story of renewal, restoration, and resilience. Why should our lives be any different? This new month is an invitation to believe again. Believe that your story is still being written. Believe that your best chapter may not be behind you. Believe that the prayers you whispered in weakness were still heard by a God who listens. Believe that what appears impossible today may become a testimony tomorrow. There is remarkable courage in beginning again. It takes courage to trust after disappointment. It takes courage to dream after failure. It takes courage to love after heartbreak. It takes courage to hope when circumstances seem unchanged. Yet courage has never been the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that fear will not be the author of your future. As we step into this month, we have a choice. We can carry every burden of the past and allow it to weigh us down, or we can place those burdens into God's hands and move forward with faith. Faith does not require us to know every detail of what lies ahead. Faith simply asks us to take the next step, one step at a time, one prayer at a time, one day at a time, 1 month at a time. Sometimes people imagine that miracles only happen in grand and dramatic ways. They expect lightning to flash across the sky or extraordinary events to unfold before their eyes. Yet many of life's greatest miracles begin quietly. A discouraged heart finds hope again. A weary soul discovers strength. A broken relationship begins to heal. A worried mind finds peace. A closed door leads to a better opportunity. These miracles often arrive disguised as ordinary moments, but they carry extraordinary power. The beginning of a new month gives us permission to expect those miracles, not because life will suddenly become perfect, not because challenges will disappear, not because every problem will immediately be solved, but because God specializes in bringing new possibilities into places where people only see limitations. The same God who created morning after night can create hope after despair. The same God who brings flowers from seeds buried beneath the soil can bring blessings from seasons that seemed barren. The same God who parts seas, moves mountains, and opens doors can work within the circumstances of our lives. And perhaps that is why new beginnings matter so much. They remind us that God is not finished. Not finished with our dreams. Not finished with our families. Not finished with our purpose. Not finished with our future. Every new month arrives carrying possibilities we cannot yet see. There are conversations waiting to happen, opportunities waiting to emerge, lessons waiting to be learned, and blessings waiting to be received. There are people we have not met, doors we have not opened, and victories we have not yet imagined. The future remains unwritten. What a beautiful gift that is. For if the future is unwritten, then hope still has room to grow. Hope is a remarkable thing. It rises when circumstances say it should stay down. It sings when sorrow tries to silence it. It keeps moving forward when every reason to quit stands in its way. Hope looks at an empty field and imagines a harvest. Hope looks at a closed door and expects another to open. Hope looks at a difficult season and believes a better one is coming. As this month begins, choose hope. Choose it deliberately. Choose it daily. Choose it even when doubt tries to convince you otherwise. For hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is confidence that God is present, active, and working even when our eyes cannot yet see the evidence. And let us remember another truth about fresh beginnings. They are gifts, not guarantees. Each new month is a gift wrapped in possibility. It is 24-hour opportunities multiplied day after day. It is another chance to forgive, another chance to grow, another chance to serve, another chance to become the person God created us to be. The gift should not be wasted. Let this month be different because you are different. Let your words carry more kindness. Let your heart carry more gratitude. Let your mind carry more peace. Let your prayers carry more expectation. Let your faith carry more confidence. You do not need to become perfect overnight. Growth rarely happens that way. Great transformations are often the result of small, faithful steps taken consistently over time. A kind word, a grateful prayer, a generous act, a courageous decision, a faithful step forward. These small moments become the building blocks of a transformed life. So welcome this new month with open hands and an open heart. Do not approach it with dread. Do not approach it with fear. Do not approach it expecting disappointment. Approach it with anticipation. Approach it believing that God can make a way where there seems to be no way. Approach it trusting that yesterday's struggles do not determine tomorrow's victories. Approach it knowing that every sunrise carries evidence of God's faithfulness. And if you find yourself discouraged, remember this. You have already survived 100% of the days behind you. You have already overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible. You have already witnessed moments of grace that carried you through difficult seasons. The strength that brought you this far will not abandon you now. This month is not merely another page on the calendar. It is another opportunity, another invitation, another beginning, another reminder that mercy is new, hope is alive, and miracles are still possible. Walk into this month with your head held high and your spirit lifted. Walk into it with gratitude for what has been and faith for what will be. Walk into it believing that the God who guided you yesterday will guide you tomorrow. For every new month carries a sacred message to every waiting heart. Your story is not over. Your purpose remains. Your hope is alive. And this fresh beginning may be the doorway to blessings greater than you have yet imagined. There is a quiet place within every human heart where words spoken to heaven become stronger than fears whispered by the world. It is the place where hope kneels when circumstances seem impossible. It is the place where weary souls find rest, where broken spirits find healing, and where ordinary people discover extraordinary strength. That place is prayer. Prayer is one of the greatest gifts ever given to humanity. It does not belong only to the powerful, the wealthy, the educated, or the influential. Prayer belongs to everyone. It belongs to the mother who worries about her children. It belongs to the father seeking wisdom for his family. It belongs to the young person searching for purpose and the elderly person reflecting upon a lifetime of memories. Prayer belongs to every heart willing to reach beyond its limitations and touch the heart of God. The beauty of prayer is that it reminds us we were never meant to carry life alone. Too many people spend their days carrying burdens that were never designed for their shoulders. They carry anxiety about tomorrow, regret about yesterday, and uncertainty about today. They carry fears they rarely speak aloud. They carry disappointments hidden behind smiles. They carry questions without answers and dreams without clear paths. The weight becomes heavy. The journey becomes exhausting. The soul becomes weary. Then prayer enters the room. Prayer gently reminds us that there is a God greater than every problem, wiser than every confusion, and stronger than every obstacle. It reminds us that we are not abandoned to face life's storms by ourselves. What a comforting truth that is. The world often teaches us to depend entirely upon our own strength. It celebrates self-sufficiency and independence. Yet every human being eventually encounters circumstances too large to solve alone. There are moments when knowledge is not enough. There are situations when resources are not enough. There are seasons when determination alone cannot carry us forward. In those moments, prayer becomes more than a spiritual practice. It becomes a lifeline. Prayer is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. It takes courage to admit that we need God's guidance. It takes humility to acknowledge that our understanding is limited. It takes faith to believe that heaven hears even the quietest cry of the human heart. Yet those who pray discover something remarkable. They discover peace in the middle of uncertainty. They discover courage in the middle of fear. They discover hope in the middle of disappointment. Not because every problem immediately disappears, but because prayer changes the atmosphere of the soul. A person who enters prayer burdened may rise lighter. A person who enters prayer confused may rise clearer. A person who enters prayer fearful may rise stronger. The circumstances may remain unchanged for a time, but something inside begins to shift. Prayer has a way of opening windows where walls once stood. Many people think miracles are only dramatic events that defy explanation. Certainly, miracles can be extraordinary. They can arrive suddenly and transform situations in ways no one expected. Yet some of the greatest miracles happen quietly. A hardened heart learns to forgive. A discouraged spirit chooses to hope again. A family finds reconciliation after years of division. A person discovers strength they never knew they possessed. A fearful soul finds peace. These miracles may not make headlines, but they change lives. Prayer creates room for such miracles to unfold. It invites God's presence into places where despair once ruled. It welcomes divine wisdom into situations clouded by confusion. It allows heaven's perspective to enter earthly circumstances. When we pray, we acknowledge that there is more happening than what our eyes can see. Life often tempts us to judge everything by appearances. If doors are closed, we assume nothing is happening. If answers are delayed, we assume God is silent. If challenges remain, we assume progress is impossible. But prayer teaches patience. Prayer teaches trust. Prayer teaches us to believe that God can be working behind the scenes even when visible evidence has not yet appeared. The farmer plants seeds beneath the soil long before a harvest becomes visible. Day after day, the field may appear unchanged. Yet beneath the surface, life is developing. Prayer often works the same way. A prayer offered today may be preparing tomorrow's breakthrough. A prayer whispered in tears may become the foundation of future joy. A prayer spoken in weakness may produce strength beyond imagination. Though we cannot always see the process, we can trust the one overseeing it. And perhaps that is one of prayer's greatest gifts. It teaches us trust. Trust is not always easy. It is easy to trust when circumstances are favorable. It is easy to trust when answers arrive quickly. It is easy to trust when the path ahead is clear. The challenge comes when uncertainty appears. The challenge comes when answers seem delayed. The challenge comes when we cannot understand what God is doing. Yet prayer invites us to trust anyway. Not because we understand everything. Not because every question has been answered. But because we know the character of the one to whom we pray. We pray to a God whose love does not fail. We pray to a God whose wisdom exceeds our understanding. We pray to a God whose faithfulness remains constant through every season. Such knowledge creates confidence. Not confidence in ourselves, confidence in God. And confidence changes how we walk through life. The person who prays learns to face challenges differently. Difficulties no longer appear as permanent barriers. Obstacles no longer seem invincible. Problems no longer possess ultimate authority. Why? Because prayer shifts the focus from the size of the problem to the greatness of God. Mountains appear smaller when viewed beside the creator of mountains. Storms seem less threatening when viewed beside the master of storms. Challenges lose some of their power when viewed through the lens of faith. Prayer enlarges our vision. It helps us see possibilities where others see impossibilities. It helps us recognize opportunities hidden within difficulties. It helps us remain hopeful when circumstances encourage despair. This does not mean prayer removes every hardship. Even faithful people experience trials. Even devoted believers encounter difficulties. Even those who pray regularly face moments of pain. Prayer is not a guarantee of a trouble-free life. It is a promise that we do not walk through trouble alone. There is tremendous comfort in knowing that. To know that when tears fall, God sees them. To know that when words fail, God understands. To know that when strength fades, God remains near. To know that when doors close, God still has a plan. Prayer builds a bridge between human weakness and divine strength. And through that bridge, miracles travel. Sometimes the miracle is provision. Sometimes the miracle is healing. Sometimes the miracle is restoration. Sometimes the miracle is direction. Sometimes the miracle is endurance. Sometimes the miracle is simply having enough grace to take one more step. Never underestimate that miracle. There are people who survive difficult seasons because prayer gave them strength to continue. There are families restored because prayer softened hearts. There are dreams fulfilled because prayer sustained faith during long periods of waiting. Prayer keeps hope alive. Hope is essential because life offers countless reasons to surrender. There will always be voices predicting failure. There will always be circumstances encouraging doubt. There will always be challenges testing faith. Prayer answers those voices with confidence. It says God is still working. It says the story is not over. It says miracles are still possible. And what a beautiful declaration that is. As this new month unfolds, let prayer become more than an occasional habit. Let it become a daily conversation with God. Let it become the place where fears are exchanged for peace, worries are exchanged for trust, and burdens are exchanged for strength. Pray when the morning begins. Pray when challenges arise. Pray when blessings arrive. Pray when answers seem delayed. Pray when gratitude fills your heart. Pray when tears fill your eyes. exercise. Pray not because life is perfect, but because God is faithful. For every sincere prayer creates space for divine movement. Every prayer opens the heart wider to God's presence. Every prayer strengthens faith for the journey ahead. And every prayer reminds us that miracles are not limited by human possibilities. The God who hears prayer today is the same God who has guided generations, comforted the brokenhearted, strengthened the weary, and provided for those in need. His power has not diminished. His mercy has not expired. His love has not weakened. Therefore, pray boldly. Pray faithfully. Pray expectantly, for prayer remains one of heaven's greatest invitations and one of earth's greatest privileges. And when prayer opens the door, miracles often enter in ways greater, deeper, and more beautiful than we could have imagined. It speaks in the quiet hours of the night when the world is asleep and our thoughts are awake. It whispers questions that seem impossible to answer. It points toward every uncertainty, every obstacle, every disappointment, and every painful memory. It reminds us of what went wrong yesterday and warns us about what might go wrong tomorrow. Fear is persuasive because it often sounds reasonable. It tells us not to dream too big because we might fail. It tells us not to trust too deeply because we might be hurt. It tells us not to step forward because we might fall. It tells us to remain where we are because familiar struggles seem safer than unfamiliar possibilities. And if we listen long enough, fear can convince us to build a home inside limitations that were never meant to contain us. Yet there is another voice, a quieter voice, a stronger voice, a voice that does not shout because it does not need to. It is the voice of faith. Faith does not deny the existence of difficulty. Faith does not pretend that challenges are imaginary. Faith does not close its eyes to reality. Instead, faith sees reality and then chooses to believe that reality is not the final authority. Faith understands that circumstances may be difficult, but circumstances can change. Faith understands that doors may be closed, but doors can open. Faith understands that storms may be raging, but storms eventually pass. Faith understands that God remains present even when evidence seems hidden. And that understanding changes everything. Every person who has ever accomplished something meaningful has had to confront fear. Fear visits every life. It does not discriminate. It enters the homes of the wealthy and the poor. It sits beside the young and the old. It appears before important decisions, during uncertain seasons, and after painful disappointments. The question is not whether fear will appear. The question is which voice we will believe. There is a difference between feeling fear and being controlled by fear. Even courageous people experience fear. Even faithful people experience fear. Even strong people experience fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Faith is not the absence of fear. Rather, faith is the decision that fear will not become the captain of the soul. How many dreams have been abandoned because fear was allowed to lead? How many opportunities have been missed? How many gifts have remained unopened? How many blessings have remained undiscovered? Fear has a way of showing us the risk while hiding the possibility. It shines a spotlight on potential failure while keeping potential success in the shadows. It magnifies obstacles while minimizing opportunities. Faith does the opposite. Faith acknowledges the obstacles but chooses to focus on God's ability. Faith recognizes the challenge but believes that help is available. Faith sees the mountain yet remembers the one who created mountains. There is tremendous power in that perspective. Life often presents moments when faith and fear stand side by side, each inviting us to follow. Fear says you are not strong enough. Faith says strength will come. Fear says you will never recover. Faith says healing is possible. Fear says nothing will change. Faith says a breakthrough may be closer than you think. Fear says give up. Faith says keep walking. And every day, through countless decisions, both large and small, we choose which voice will shape our future. The remarkable thing about faith is that it grows through use. A muscle becomes stronger through exercise. A tree becomes stronger through weathering storms. Faith becomes stronger through practice. Each time we trust God despite uncertainty, faith grows. Each time we move forward despite fear, faith grows. Each time we pray despite unanswered questions, faith grows. Each time we hope despite disappointment, faith grows. Little by little, day by day, faith develops strength. The process is not always comfortable. Growth rarely is. Consider the seed buried beneath the soil. If the seed could speak, perhaps it would describe its circumstances as dark and uncertain. It cannot see the sunlight. It cannot yet imagine the flower it will become. Everything appears hidden. Yet beneath the surface, transformation is taking place. Roots are forming. Life is emerging. Growth is happening. Many people find themselves in seasons that feel similar. They are waiting, praying, trusting, hoping, and yet they cannot see what God is doing. Fear whispers, nothing is happening. Faith replies, something is growing beneath the surface. That reply makes all the difference. Because faith understands that God's work is not always visible immediately. Some of the most important developments occur in hidden places. Character grows in hidden places. Wisdom develops in hidden places. Strength forms in hidden places. Trust deepens in hidden places. And often miracles begin in hidden places. The world celebrates instant results. Faith respects divine timing. The world demands immediate answers. Faith remains patient. The world measures success by appearances. Faith measures success by obedience and trust. That is why faith can endure seasons that would otherwise seem unbearable. Faith understands that waiting does not mean abandonment. Faith understands that silence does not mean absence. Faith understands that delay does not mean denial. There are moments when fear will attempt to convince us that our future is limited by our past. It will point to old mistakes. It will point to old failures. It will point to old wounds. It will point to old disappointments. Then it will try to persuade us that those experiences define us. But faith refuses such conclusions. Faith believes that a painful chapter is not the entire story. Faith believes that failure can become wisdom. Faith believes that mistakes can become lessons. Faith believes that wounds can become testimonies. Faith believes that God can create beauty from brokenness. History is filled with people who would have remained ordinary if they had surrendered to fear. Yet they chose faith. They chose to move forward when certainty was unavailable. They chose to trust when understanding was incomplete. They chose hope when circumstances encouraged despair. And because they chose faith, their lives became examples of what is possible. The same opportunity exists for each of us, not because we possess extraordinary abilities, not because we have perfect circumstances, not because we know exactly what lies ahead, but because faith allows ordinary people to walk with extraordinary confidence in God's guidance. Confidence rooted in faith is different from confidence rooted in pride. Pride says, I can handle everything alone. Faith says, with God's help, I can face whatever comes. Pride depends upon personal ability. Faith depends upon divine strength. Pride collapses when human resources run out. Faith continues because God's resources never run out. That distinction matters. Life eventually leads every person to places where human strength alone is insufficient. There will be losses we cannot prevent, challenges we cannot solve immediately, questions we cannot answer, roads we cannot navigate by ourselves. In those moments, faith becomes invaluable. Faith reminds us that we are held by a power greater than our fears. Faith reminds us that God's vision extends beyond our limited perspective. Faith reminds us that no storm lasts forever. And perhaps one of faith's greatest gifts is peace. Not the peace that comes from having every answer. Not the peace that comes from controlling every outcome. But the peace that comes from trusting God despite uncertainty. Such peace is powerful. It steadies the heart. It calms the mind. It strengthens the spirit. It allows us to move forward one step at a time, even when the entire path is not visible. As this new month unfolds, fear will undoubtedly attempt to speak. It may remind you of previous disappointments. It may highlight current challenges. It may predict future difficulties. Listen carefully, and then Choose faith. Choose faith when circumstances seem confusing. Choose faith when answers seem delayed. Choose faith when progress appears slow. Choose faith when obstacles appear large. Choose faith because fear has never created a miracle. Fear has never opened a door. Fear has never fulfilled a purpose. Fear has never transformed a life. Faith has. Faith inspires perseverance. Faith encourages courage. Faith strengthens hope. Faith keeps moving forward when fear would rather retreat. And every step taken in faith becomes a declaration that fear will not determine the future. Walk into this month with that declaration in your heart. Walk knowing that challenges may come, but they do not come alone. Walk knowing that uncertainty may exist, but so does divine guidance. Walk knowing that fear may knock at your door, but faith can answer. For the future belongs not to those who never feel fear, but to those who choose faith anyway. And when faith becomes stronger than fear, doors begin to open, possibilities begin to appear, and miracles begin to unfold in ways that reveal the goodness, faithfulness, and power of God. Let faith rise. Let fear shrink. And let your heart move confidently toward the promises that await you. There are seasons in every life when waiting feels heavier than carrying the burden itself. We pray and the answer does not come when we expect it. We work and the reward seems delayed. We hope, and the breakthrough remains beyond the horizon. We watch doors stay closed, opportunities linger just out of reach, and dreams remain unfulfilled longer than we imagined possible. In those moments, the heart asks difficult questions. Why is this taking so long? Why has the answer not arrived? Why does the road seem longer than expected? Why must I wait? These questions are as old as humanity itself. They have echoed through generations, whispered by people standing in the space between promise and fulfillment, between prayer and answer, between hope and manifestation. Yet hidden within that space is a truth that faith must learn to embrace. God's timing is always perfect. Not always understandable, not always comfortable, not always convenient, but always perfect. Human beings naturally prefer immediacy. We appreciate quick results and instant solutions. We enjoy seeing clear progress and predictable outcomes. We want answers when questions arise and relief when challenges appear. We measure time by clocks and calendars, by schedules and deadlines. But God measures differently. He sees what we cannot see. He knows what we cannot know. He understands connections, consequences, opportunities, and outcomes beyond the limits of human vision. While we see a single chapter, He sees the entire story. That difference matters, because many of the delays that frustrate us today are actually preparations for blessings we will understand tomorrow. Consider the farmer who plants seeds in fertile soil. The seed disappears beneath the earth. Days pass, weeks pass. To the untrained eye, nothing appears to be happening. The field looks unchanged. Yet beneath the surface, remarkable activity is taking place. Roots are spreading. Growth is beginning. Life is developing. The harvest is forming long before it becomes visible. If the farmer became impatient and dug up the seed every few days to check its progress, the growth would be interrupted. The very impatience intended to speed the process would actually delay it. Life often works the same way. Many people become discouraged because they cannot immediately see what God is doing. They assume silence means inactivity. They assume waiting means abandonment. They assume delay means denial. But God's silence is not evidence of His absence. His delay is not evidence of His neglect. His timing is often evidence of His wisdom. There are blessings that require preparation. There are opportunities that require growth. There are responsibilities that require maturity. There are miracles that require the right season. If certain doors open too early, we might not be ready to walk through them. If certain prayers were answered immediately, we might lack the wisdom necessary to handle the blessing. If every desire appeared the moment we requested it, we might miss important lessons developed through waiting. The waiting season is not wasted time. It is preparation time. It is growing time. It is learning time. It is strengthening time. Within the waiting, character is often being formed. Patience is being developed. Wisdom is being increased. Faith is being refined. Trust is being deepened. These gifts are invisible at first, yet they become invaluable later. The world often celebrates arrival while overlooking preparation. People admire the harvest but forget the planting. They celebrate success but ignore the struggle. They applaud achievement but overlook the years of persistence that made achievement possible. God understands the value of preparation because he understands the value of permanence. Temporary success requires little foundation. Lasting success requires strong roots. And strong roots take time to grow. There is a profound difference between being delayed and being denied. A delayed answer is still moving toward fulfillment. A delayed blessing is still being prepared. A delayed opportunity is still possible. Delay simply means the story is not finished yet. How many people have abandoned hope because they misunderstood delay? How many have stopped praying because answers did not arrive according to their timetable? How many have surrendered dreams because progress seems slow? Yet some of life's greatest testimonies are born from seasons of waiting. Waiting teaches lessons that instant gratification cannot teach. Waiting reveals the strength of our faith. Waiting exposes the depth of our trust. Waiting teaches endurance. Waiting develops resilience. Waiting reminds us that we are dependent upon God rather than merely dependent upon circumstances. And while those lessons may not always feel pleasant, they often become some of the most valuable treasures we carry. The truth is that timing changes everything. The same opportunity received too early can become overwhelming. The same blessing received too soon can become a burden. The same responsibility accepted before preparation can become a source of frustration. Perfect timing transforms potential into purpose. Imagine trying to harvest fruit before it ripens. The fruit exists, but it is not ready. Its sweetness is not fully developed. Its purpose has not been completed. The problem is not the fruit. The problem is the timing. Likewise, many things in life require a season of development before they are ready to fulfill their purpose. God understands those seasons perfectly. He knows when hearts are ready. He knows when circumstances are aligned. He knows when opportunities will create the greatest impact. He knows when blessings can be received with wisdom and gratitude. His perspective extends beyond our immediate desires. That perspective allows him to orchestrate outcomes that are often greater than anything we could have planned ourselves. There are moments when looking back reveals this truth clearly. Perhaps there was a door you desperately wanted to open years ago. Perhaps there was an opportunity you prayed for intensely. Perhaps there was a relationship, position, dream, or plan that seemed essential at the time. Yet it did not happen. The answer was delayed or perhaps redirected entirely. At first, disappointment filled your heart. Confusion followed. Questions remained. But later, with the benefit of hindsight, understanding emerged. You saw dangers you had previously overlooked. You recognized opportunities that would have been missed. You discovered blessings hidden within what initially felt like disappointment. What once appeared to be rejection revealed itself as protection. What once appeared to be delay revealed itself as preparation. What once appeared to be loss revealed itself as guidance. Such moments teach us to trust God's timing more deeply, because experience becomes evidence. Evidence that he sees further than we do. Evidence that his wisdom exceeds our understanding. Evidence that his plans remain trustworthy, even when they are not immediately visible. Trusting God's timing does not mean abandoning effort. Faith does not require passivity. We still work. We still pray. We still prepare. We still pursue the opportunities before us. But we do so with confidence that God is directing the outcome according to his perfect wisdom. We release the burden of controlling every detail. We surrender the pressure of forcing every result. We acknowledge that some things cannot be rushed. Flowers bloom according to seasons. Rivers reach destinations according to their course. Morning arrives according to its appointed hour. Likewise, many blessings arrive according to God's perfect schedule. There is peace in accepting that truth. Peace does not come from having all the answers. Peace comes from trusting the one who does. Peace comes from believing that God's delays are purposeful. Peace comes from understanding that every season serves a purpose. Peace comes from knowing that what is meant for you cannot be stolen by delay. If God has prepared something for your life, the timing of its arrival is part of the blessing itself. Nothing is late from God's perspective. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is overlooked. Every prayer is heard. Every tear is seen. Every act of faith is noticed. Every season of waiting is understood. And while we wait, God continues working in circumstances, working in hearts, working in opportunities, working in ways that remain hidden until the right moment arrives. As this new month begins, perhaps there are prayers you are still waiting to see answered. Perhaps there are dreams that remain unfulfilled. Perhaps there are doors you hope will open. Perhaps there are questions still seeking resolution. Do not allow delay to convince you that God has forgotten. Do not allow waiting to extinguish hope. Do not allow uncertainty to weaken faith. Instead, trust that God is still writing the story. Trust that preparation is taking place. Trust that unseen work is unfolding. Trust that divine wisdom is guiding every detail. For the God who created time is never controlled by time. He is never rushed. He is never confused. He is never late. And when his answer arrives, when his door opens, when his blessing manifests, you will often discover something extraordinary. You will discover that the timing was not merely good. It was perfect. Perfect for your growth, perfect for your purpose, perfect for your journey, perfect for the miracle that was being prepared all along. So walk forward with patience, walk forward with confidence, walk forward with expectation. For what God has promised does not depend upon human schedules. It depends upon divine timing. And divine timing, though sometimes mysterious, is always unfailingly perfectly right. There is a remarkable difference between merely entering a new month and entering it with expectation. One person walks forward carrying only memories of what has been. Another walks forward carrying faith for what can be. The days may look the same on the calendar, the sun may rise in the same sky, the hours may pass at the same pace, yet the spirit with which we approach the month changes everything. Expectation is the language of hope. It is the quiet confidence that tomorrow may hold something better than yesterday. It is the belief that life is not limited to present circumstances. It is the willingness to look beyond what is and imagine what could be. Expectation lifts the eyes beyond obstacles and points them toward possibilities. Too often, disappointment teaches people to expect less from life. After enough setbacks, some stop dreaming. After enough delays, some stop hoping. After enough heartbreak, some stop believing. They lower their expectations not because they want to, but because they are trying to protect themselves from future pain. It seems safer that way. If you expect nothing, you cannot be disappointed. If you dream small, you cannot fail big. If you hope for little, you risk little. Yet such thinking comes at a tremendous cost. For when people stop expecting good things, they often stop recognizing them when they arrive. The human spirit was not created merely to survive. It was created to hope. It was created to believe. It was created to anticipate goodness. That is why expectation matters. Expectation does not ignore reality. It simply refuses to allow reality to become the final verdict. A person can acknowledge difficulties while still expecting blessings. A person can face challenges while still expecting breakthroughs. A person can encounter uncertainty while still expecting guidance. Expectation is not denial. Expectation is faith looking toward the future. Every great accomplishment begins with expectation. Before a building stands, someone expects it can be built. Before a harvest appears, someone expects the seed will grow. Before healing manifests, someone expects restoration is possible. Before change occurs, someone expects transformation can happen. Expectation creates room for possibility. Without it, potential remains unopened. There is something powerful about waking each morning believing that God may do something wonderful today. Not because every day will be perfect. Not because every challenge will disappear. Not because every prayer will be answered immediately. But because God remains active, faithful, and capable of exceeding human expectations. Such belief changes the atmosphere of life. It changes the way we pray. It changes the way we speak. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we respond to opportunities. People who expect good things often notice opportunities that others overlook. They remain attentive. They remain hopeful. They remain open to possibilities. Where others see only obstacles, they search for solutions. Where others see only barriers, they look for doors. Where others surrender to discouragement, they continue moving forward. Expectation energizes faith. It gives hope a place to live. The beauty of expectation is that it is not based solely upon circumstances. If expectation depended entirely upon circumstances, very few people would possess it during difficult seasons. True expectation is rooted in trust. Trust that God remains present. Trust that God remains faithful. Trust that God remains capable. Trust that God remains at work even when results are not yet visible. Many of the greatest blessings arrive after seasons of waiting. Many breakthroughs appear after periods of struggle. Many miracles emerge after moments of uncertainty. If people abandon expectation too soon, they may miss what is already approaching. Imagine standing at the shoreline before sunrise. The darkness stretches across the horizon. Nothing yet suggests daylight. If you judge the future solely by present appearances, you might conclude that darkness will remain forever. But the sunrise is already on its way. Its arrival does not depend upon your ability to see it. Its approach is certain even while hidden. Life often works the same way. Blessings may be approaching before evidence appears. Opportunities may be developing beyond your sight. Answers may be moving closer while you continue waiting. Expectation keeps the heart ready for their arrival. It says, I cannot see everything, but I believe something good is possible. That simple belief carries tremendous power. For expectation influences action. People who expect growth invest effort. People who expect success prepare diligently. People who expect blessings remain grateful. People who expect breakthroughs continue praying. Expectation inspires perseverance. When challenges arise, expectation says keep going. When obstacles appear, expectation says try again. When disappointment arrives, expectation says the story is not over. And how many victories have been won because someone refused to abandon expectation? How many dreams survived because someone continued believing? How many miracles unfolded because someone remained hopeful? The answer is countless. History is filled with examples of individuals who expected great things despite difficult circumstances. They faced obstacles. They encountered resistance. They experienced setbacks. Yet they continued believing that something greater awaited them. Their expectation became fuel for endurance. Their hope became strength for the journey. Likewise, this new month invites us to expect great things, not necessarily easy things, not necessarily predictable things, but great things. Growth is a great thing. Wisdom is a great thing. Peace is a great thing. Healing is a great thing. Opportunity is a great thing. Purpose is a great thing. Restoration is a great thing. Answered prayer is a great thing. Even the lessons learned during challenging seasons can become great blessings. Sometimes people limit expectation because they fear disappointment. But consider the alternative. A life without expectation becomes a life without anticipation. A life without anticipation becomes a life without wonder. A life without wonder becomes smaller than it was meant to be. God did not create us to live with defeated hearts. He created us to live with hope-filled spirits. Hope does not guarantee that every desire will unfold exactly as planned. It guarantees that faith remains alive while the future unfolds. And faith often opens doors that fear would never approach. Expectation also nurtures gratitude. When people expect great things, they become more attentive to blessings. They notice small mercies. They recognize unexpected opportunities. They celebrate progress. They appreciate daily gifts that might otherwise be overlooked. Gratitude and expectation work beautifully together. Gratitude thanks God for what has already been given. Expectation trusts God for what is still to come. One looks backward with appreciation. The other looks forward with hope. Together they create a spirit capable of weathering every season. As this month begins, refuse to allow negativity to define your expectations. Refuse to let yesterday's disappointments dictate tomorrow's possibilities. Refuse to allow fear to become the architect of your future. Instead, expect growth. Expect strength. Expect wisdom. Expect peace. Expect opportunities. Expect divine guidance. Expect moments of joy hidden within ordinary days. Expect doors to open at the right time. Expect prayers to bear fruit. Expect lessons that deepen your character. Expect blessings that remind you of God's faithfulness. Some of those blessings may arrive in forms you never anticipated. Life often surprises us that way. Sometimes the blessing is not what we requested, but what we truly needed. Sometimes the answer exceeds the prayer. Sometimes the opportunity surpasses the dream. Sometimes the miracle appears through a path we never would have chosen. Yet when expectation remains alive, the heart remains ready to receive. This readiness matters. A hopeful heart sees possibilities where a discouraged heart sees limitations. A grateful heart notices blessings where a bitter heart sees only problems. An expectant heart welcomes opportunities where a fearful heart hesitates. The condition of the heart influences the experience of life. Therefore, guard your expectation carefully. Protect it from cynicism. Protect it from despair. Protect it from voices that insist nothing will improve. Protect it from memories that try to convince you that tomorrow must resemble yesterday. Your future deserves more faith than that. The God who guided you through previous seasons remains with you now. The God who provided yesterday remains able to provide today. The God who opened doors before remains capable of opening doors again. The God who performed miracles in the past has not exhausted his power. His goodness remains. His mercy remains. His faithfulness remains. So enter this month with your head lifted high. Enter it with gratitude for what has been, and expectation for what may come. Enter it believing that every sunrise carries fresh possibilities. Enter it knowing that each day offers opportunities for growth, purpose, and blessing. Enter it with the confidence that God is still writing beautiful chapters in your story. For expectation is not merely wishful thinking. It is faith standing at the doorway of a new season, looking toward the horizon, and declaring with confidence, something good is coming. Something meaningful is developing. Something beautiful is unfolding. And this month may hold more blessings, more opportunities, more joy, and more miracles than you have yet imagined. So expect great things and watch what God will do.